Welcome to Wheels, Deals, and Meals, where we talk all things good food, good business, and good cars. And now, here is your host, Arnold Gasita, founder and CEO of Petra Automotive Products. Let's roll.
We have an exciting show for you today. A good friend of mine, I would say almost like a brother, if not like a brother, and one of the first guys that got me into business, Stephen Burns. Thank you, man.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no, thanks for being on the show. Thanks for being on the show. Now, we were talking about hair earlier. When I first met you, you did have black hair.
Well, it was dark brown, but yes.
Dark brown?
Yes,
Okay.
It was, yeah.
So it's
happens.
like being president. 8 years later,
It all goes gray.
of course, you met me when I was bald, I believe, but
But I've seen pictures.
Yeah, that's true. 33 years in this, it's.
There's a head full of hair in previous pictures.
All right, so listen, you are a car guy, right? Would you say that? I think you're a car guy.
I'll say raised in it. Yeah.
Yeah. So what is your dream car that you want in the Stephen Burns garage?
I would say a 1994 Porsche 964 Turbo.
94. Okay, so why?
It was the car in Bad Boys, right?
Okay.
And that was a year. I was a junior in high school when that movie came out, and that was the car that Will Smith drove, and it beat the Shelby. I was always a Porsche fan, and that is the car.
Of all the places you've traveled, or maybe haven't traveled, what is the place that you want to go to or have been that's your favorite place to go?
I feel like I've traveled a lot, but I've never been to Europe, never been to Asia, so I don't have a lot of experience overseas.
Okay.
I would say there's so much to see in the United States and what we have to offer, or in the North America as a whole. I think it's going to take me a lot of time to even get through that. But if I had to pick a place that's my favorite today, I would say anywhere in the Rocky Mountains, especially in that Elk Mountain range.
What's your favorite food?
Top of the list, I'm going barbecue.
Barbecue's your go-to place.
here.
I know, we're here at a barbecue place.
I like the hole in the walls, the little spots. You've got somebody who really cares about the meat and how they prepare it, and it just, you can tell that the owners are sitting there working behind the counter serving the food.
All right, let's talk about the Stephen Burns story.
Okay?
So you were born where?
A little town called Bernice. Actually, take it back. I was born in El Dorado, Arkansas.
Okay.
Okay, but we lived in Bernice, Louisiana, which is a tiny town in north central Louisiana. It's about 15 miles from the Arkansas state line, and I think my mom's doctor was there that day in El Dorado, and that's where we ended up.
All right, so what was your first job?
Well, I had lots of jobs, but probably before a teenager, working and mowing yards around town.
Okay.
We lived in a little street that I could go next door and mow the lady's yard. Miss Hollis, she paid me the $10 to come mow the yard, and my dad let me use all the equipment. And then there was a cemetery about half a mile down the road, and I ended up making a bid for the cemetery and got awarded from the city the opportunity to go mow that cemetery.
How old were you?
Let's see, at that time I was probably 12 or 13.
So at 12 or 13, you get awarded the city contract.
Well, I didn't know how much to bid, so obviously I underbid.
But you got the deal.
I got
and you're
the
learning
deal.
it.
Yeah, but I ended up getting our church. We had a little small church. It's, was started back in the 1800s, and we had that cemetery, and then when I could drive, or even before then, my dad would take me out there because I won that contract as well, and so I started doing that, and that's how I did it.
That's a great story. A great story. All right, so you graduated from high school.
Graduated from high school, and that summer, I really didn't know what to do. I was kind of thinking about college, not thinking about college. I kind of had this, I played baseball, loved baseball in high school, and I kind of thought, well, I could go, try out for, college team and do some things, and I don't know, I just kind of took a step back, and I told my mom and dad, hey, I want to take a little bit of time, maybe just a summer, and just think about it and what I was going to do. My mom said, well, you got to do something, so just come get in the car business. And so that's where I started selling cars in the summer of June of 98.
And you were 18?
I was 18.
So you started selling cars June of 98.
Yep.
18 years old. Tell me, how did it go?
It went good. I had a really good sales manager. But now keep in mind this. So
Because you didn't know the business. First time you're
Well,
selling cars.
Let's see, I didn't know the business, but my mom started in the car business in 1975, and she went in as right out of high school, or started her senior year actually, and she was a account receivable, accounts payable person back in 1975. She worked her way up until I think it was like 81 or 82, where she moved into an office manager position, and she went from this one dealer called Pruce Motor Company, which they were been in operation forever, in Farmerville, Louisiana, and then she left there and went to Joe Mallard in Ruston, and so in my memory it was always Joe Mallard in Ruston, but she stayed with Joe Mallard until he passed away in 2018, 2019.
So you grew up knowing a little bit about the car business.
Oh yeah, I grew up going to the dealership a lot. We'd spend Saturdays when they were cooking out, going up there, and they were involved in the monster truck races. We'd go up there and hang out. So yeah, I knew everybody.
So you had a feel for it and taste for it. But you personally, your first job as salesman, you really don't know the process of selling cars, etc. So you have the sales manager that's teaching you. How long did you sell cars?
Say 5 years.
5 years?
Yeah.
How good were you at it?
I was okay.
Really?
Yeah, I was okay.
I wasn't expecting that answer.
Really?
No, I thought you were going to say you were good.
It just depends on what good is. In today's standards, with what I consider good, I was not there. I was not the 30 car,
But was that could that dealership support 5 people selling 30 cars?
We had some people that would hit in the mid 20s or 30s. Yeah, we had some people. Now I was more focused on the pre-owned side. I wasn't on the new car side at the time when I started. But what I learned was I had a sales manager who sat me down, and back then there was like this invoice book, right? It had a big thick book and had all the invoices in it from everything that was sold. And so he gave me a list of salespeople. Those lists of salespeople that he gave me, he said, look at the invoice. If the salesperson's not here any longer, call them, tell them you're their new salesperson, ask them if they need anything. It was very simple. I think the first month I was there, I sold 14 cars or whatever it was, and I made $6,700. Well, $6,700.
Yeah, back then, 18. Come on.
I was 18 years old. My friends were working, all this, $2 an hour at the local, restaurant.
Yeah.
I was like, this is what I need to do. And that's all I did was focused on customer service.
So did you kind of follow everything he was telling you to do, or did you have some Stephen Burns creative way of, you know what, I think I'm going to sell cars this way?
Yeah, I did, but it backfired.
Okay, what was it?
We had our Christmas party in December-ish, and a guy came in. He wanted to look at this Lincoln Mark 8, if anybody remembers that. It's a two-door, kind of fancy Lincoln. And I was always taught to go on the test drive and do it a certain way. And this time I decided I was going to do something different. It was a Lincoln Mark 8. When you get on the interstate, when you do some things. So we get on the interstate, and the guy gets to 120, 125 miles an hour. I was like, hey, look, we need to slow down, and pulled off. And we got back to the store, and I was always taught, hey, make sure they pull into this parking spot. And so I didn't do that. I let him park where he wanted to park. When I went to get out of the door, he kicked me out of the door and stole the car. And
my God.
I've been in the business, 5 months, 5.5 months, 6 months, and now I've got a car that's now been stolen.
No kidding.
Yeah. So I go I'm devastated, right? I don't know how to, you don't know what's going to happen. I'm
You're
losing
18
my
years
job.
old. How are you going to tell the boss that this guy just covered?
Yeah. But anyway, they ended up, they ended up laughing about it and, called the police, and they ended up finding the car that night, almost to New Orleans. So it was, we got the car back.
What an experience.
I think I actually sold that car. I remember the second time.
So next time you parked in the right place?
I parked in the right place.
Yeah.
There's a reason, there's a method to the madness.
All right, so you did that for 5 years. Mm-hmm. What's your next position?
I kind of had a little bit of all the positions in sales. We did the internet sales, and internet was just kind of coming into that time, where you could list the cars and make books and do the things. When
you say you did different positions within sales, tell me.
Yeah, again, I was salesperson, and I was assistant sales manager, kind of floor manager, and then moved into internet sales and kind of starting that up. Again, that was really early at the internet days, 99, 2000. But then I got an opportunity to go into finance. And that is, in my opinion, where I felt like I was at home. It was
a pivotal moment for you.
It was a pivotal moment. It was where math and OCD kind of meshed.
Okay.
And that's perfect for me. I like the cleanliness of it. I like the organization of the finance office. I like problem solving, which is all you do in the finance office. So I liked it. It was kind of my spot.
Stayed as finance manager or any other position within the finance?
You know, I kind of, there was a couple like finance director-ish roles I would say that I had. Not, it was not something that was labeled, but it was in that position. So see, you know, business has kind of changed since back then, where now we've got sales managers that, you know, really kind of take over the deal, and they submit the deal and they work the deal for the customer, and you've got your finance managers who really job today is to manage the paperwork and, you know, bump the customer a little bit as far as the payment, but that's it. It's kind of changed. You know, back then when I was in it, sales manager would just get the customer to close, and they would give me a deal.
Right, and the customers today
They'd say, "Good luck,
may
thank
walk
you."
right.
You know,
and customers today may walk in with financing that they got from online banking, where back
100%.
then they were depending on the dealer
Yep.
to finance the vehicle.
Sure.
So the finance had to work a little bit, I think, more,
Yeah, I think so.
right?
There's probably going to be some people that disagree, but
I know,
I think
I'm with you, but and everybody has their opinion. But I do think
the finance role has changed. There used to be subprime back then where you had dedicated subprime departments because it was a whole different deal. So,
Yeah, I mean, people can literally get their phone out now and get 3 offers on finance, and they walk into a dealership.
walk in.
That definitely wasn't around then.
No, was not.
You know, and so back then the finance manager had to be the one through a fax machine or whatever that was getting those 3 deals for the consumer.
Yep.
So you know, as we look at sales and finance, what would you say when you were in sales was one of the greatest moments of you as a car salesman?
That's a tough question. The greatest moment would be that first month, being nervous, not really knowing what's going to happen, but trusting someone that's going to lead me through this process. I think that is finishing that first month where it was self-pride was probably the greatest.
Yeah, and get that first check that you go, wow, this is a little
real.
bit better than what my friends are making.
Yeah.
All right, what's the best thing that happened as you were a finance manager or in finance?
I think the best thing that happened to me in finance was I met some really, really, really great people who became friends and mentors and peers that helped me get to the next level.
What's the worst thing that happened in finance? But when you thought, you know, I mean, there's got to be something. I mean, you're bad in selling a car. Your bad one was somebody stole a car. I mean, there may be other bad ones, but that's one of them.
That was one of them.
Yeah.
You know, again, it's like, you know, so I look at things a lot in a positive sense, and the guy that stole the car was trying to get to his family for Christmas. So, get it, bad, but he was doing something that he thought was good for him. I'm not saying that, you know, but
No, I know.
You know what I'm
Listen,
saying?
but one of the great things about knowing you and getting to know you is that you give people the benefit of the doubt, not twice, 100 times. Don't ever change. You're well respected for so many reasons, but one of the neat things about Stephen Burns is that chance after chance, try after try, you give people that. So I can see you saying, look, everybody has a different situation. You know, you didn't look at it bad, and that's great. Look, I love.
he made a bad choice.
He made a bad
but
choice.
It was a wrong. He was trying to see his family,
But
and that's a positive. So I don't know, you know.
All right.
But going back to finance, I'm not sure there was any negative thing that I could pull out or bad thing that happened. I mean, there was a lot of times where you wanted to help a customer and you just couldn't.
Okay, so 9 years in finance, what's the next thing you do?
So the next thing is I get an opportunity to interview for a corporate finance position that is over 18 stores. So a friend of mine lives in Houston, got me the interview. I go sit down with I think there was 4 operational partners and kind of the main, you know, partner of all the stores, and I oversold myself. And I got the job. And the same day that I got offered the job, it was actually that night when the email came through that I got the job and it was all done. You know, I sat there for probably an hour just kind of staring at the screen. And at the time, I was talking to my girlfriend at the time, and we were going through it, and she said it's a great opportunity. I said, I know, but I don't want to let this person down. So I emailed back and said, I politely decline. I think I've oversold myself, and I don't want to let you down. And that was it. So I think it was a day or so.
Did the person say, okay?
He says, I understand. I really appreciate it and wish you best. And so I think it was a day or two later that I called another friend of mine, and I said, hey, I was talking about it, and he said, hey, did you get the good job? I said, yeah, I did, but I can't take this job. He goes, why not? And when I explained to him my reasoning behind not taking the job, he said, you call that man back, you apologize, take the job, and go do what I know you can do. And that was a pivotal thing in my career, that because he pushed me into that position. And I did, man. I got in there and just worked. And
So when you called the guy back, he said, yeah, I'll give you the job anyway,
100%.
although you called me and told me,
because I called him and I said, listen, I declined it because, of the reason. I did not want to let you down. I really enjoyed the conversation. I didn't want to let anybody down. But if the opportunity's still there, I'd like to follow through with it. And he said yes, it's still there. It's yours if you want it. And that was it. That was when I jumped into it.
And that one guy that said, you should take it.
Mm-hmm.
Call that guy back and take it.
Still talk to him today. Still a great friend.
Look, I can see you again, your humbleness. I can see where you would say, look, I don't know if I'm ready, and I don't want to let anybody down. But you have more talent that you know. You know some of your talent, but you have more talent than you know.
Yeah, but
and even then, I would say that you have more talent than you know today.
But I think early on, trying to figure that out, there's people that, man, they step up and they have confidence from day one, right? And then there's people that you got to kind of push a little bit. And I think at the time, I was one of those people that maybe needed a little push to say, hey, look, you're not giving yourself enough credit to go do something.
And surrounded yourself by the right people that were able to do that, because you could surround yourself with people that'll say, yeah, man, don't take that. You're going to be,
Yeah, that's just going to be, you're
crazy. Stick with what you know. But you had the right people around you that said, no, you can do it. Call them up. Let's take this chance. We can make it happen.
Yeah, and I did.
I think that's great. All right, so you take the opportunity. What's next?
So I take the opportunity. This is 2007. I just go to work. 2008, 2009 hit. Right? So
That's a learning curve.
it's a learning curve. But I think it couldn't have come in a better time, because I was in the position where I could give 100% of me to try to help figure this out. And we had in the group at the time, we had 18 stores. We had a great leader who me and him were very close, right? He was nervous. He was scared at the time, but he made the decisions. And he ran this thing hard. And we had great operational partners that were in the stores that were grinding every day. We had great GMs in the stores, and everybody was pushing to get through 08 and 09, and we did. We had some bumps and bruises, but we got through pretty much clean on the other side. But we all grinded on that.
Okay, so you get through it.
Yeah, we get through it,
And that takes leadership with the right people. Not everybody got through it. You get through it.
Yep.
So you got the right people, you got the right team. What's next?
After that, I kind of saw this opportunity as, how do we reorganize the finance office? How do we really step up our game? How do we get in the numbers that we're seeing nationally in these big public groups? And so we did that. We went to work putting together the products, set of the processes, and everything. So once that happened, we had such a good success in the group. I think the group, again, the partners believed in this vision. Everybody believed in the vision. And it kind of started in this big up curve, this big hockey stick, basically, of growth. And it created an opportunity for us to create a company that was now basically servicing all these stores. So I still kind of had this corporate role, but I had it on, we actually owned the company that was kind of servicing these stores. So we created the JM&As of the world and those Zurichs of the world internally. And it was kind of this incubator that kept feeding itself. And so that was in 2010 when that happened.
And you took the key role there, right? You took the key role there.
Yep, I was a CEO partner. They gave me some stock in the company. I was super nervous to do it, but we did it. And we ran that company until 2022. Pretty decent exit with it. And
that's when I met you, shortly after, or maybe a year or two after that, right?
I think it was 11 or 12, yeah.
Yeah, we met in 2010.
2010?
We met in 2009.
Okay.
Or 2010. When did we meet you?
2010.
Okay, 2010.
Yeah.
And so you were freshly into that kind of.
We had just kind of started it.
Yeah. And so you did that for how long?
Well, we had the business, that particular business for 10 years-ish, a little bit more.
Which was an incredible success.
Yeah, we built up a really good business that was, again, later acquired by a national company and
had an exit program.
An exit program.
All right, let's talk about some of the other stuff, because you're one of the, and you and I have done a couple of deals together, but you are a great entrepreneur involved in so many things. How many businesses do you own today?
I think if you go back and look at last couple tax returns and count K1s, I mean, it's north of 30.
Yeah.
It's a lot. It's too much to keep up with.
But you keep up with it.
I keep up with it.
What's your secret to keep up with it?
I got a board. that I write it on. I have there's no magic to it. It's just
old-fashioned way. Board?
It's the old-fashioned way, man. I got a board and a big Expo marker. I just take off.
And a long Excel spreadsheet.
Long Excel spreadsheet.
So in those 30 businesses, you've acquired more or less within the last 10 years, right?
Yeah. I think it was just
how many have you sold in the last 10 years?
The group grew to 34, 35 stores over 6 states. During this time when I became a partner in this sub company, it gave me the opportunity to be in other things inside the group. And so I was able to invest and become a partner in 10 stores inside the group. And then a lot of various other companies that kind of, again, had this incubator type feel that happened inside the group. Now, we had an exit to all of our operational partners in 21 with that group. So you count those 10 stores. I've sold 9 of the 10 stores. And then some other businesses that we've got, we've obviously sold, or some real estate deals that we've asked sold, but I think those have all been replaced, and I think I still am north of 30 in the investment side, but we've had some pretty good exits.
I mean, do you see yourself exiting the investment being part of things ever?
I don't think so. The investments are anywhere from a multifamily piece of real estate. We're very small partners, or just kind of sit back and watch all that kind of happen, all the way to a company that there's a lot of automotive space in between, a lot of automotive software companies and different things in between there, but all the way to the other side where we're servicing about 40,000 businesses across the country in high school sports. So it's a massive range. So I don't think I'll ever stop investing.
And I know again, knowing you and because
I do have some exits on the horizon.
You have a humble attitude always. I mean, extremely smart, but you're good at this portfolio, a wide portfolio of different entities, and working through the years to make those entities, extremely successful, and in some cases even with an exit program, right?
Yeah, and so
what do you think is giving you that ability?
I've been asked this question a lot. How do you get all of this? And I think I don't meet a stranger, right? So when I do meet somebody, I always try to get their information, ask them what they do. I'm really interested in what they do, right? And that's led me to sitting at the table with people that have an opportunity. And then I think you have to not be scared to ask. So, coming up in the business, I was never scared to ask a mentor or a peer, somebody that may have been aligned with me, or someone that may have been worked for me. Guidance. Give me some guidance on this piece. Ask them for what's the opportunity here, what's the opportunity, what kind of help with, is there an investment possible? And so all these questions, as you ask, I ask lots of people about investments or opportunities that say there's really not any right now, but I ask a lot to say, yeah, we're looking for something, and then it enables you to go look and see if it's something you want to do. It's interesting. Just last night, we're at the Mavs game, Mavs and Suns. A guy walks up behind me and says hello. And I've known this guy for years, but we talk business, but not a lot. But he mentioned that he was going to live in South Africa for a couple months, wouldn't see his family. And when he came back, he had something he's starting to work on. And so I said, man, congratulations! I would love to go to South Africa one day. We had a quick conversation. We went to our seats. When I sat down, I picked up my phone and said, hey, listen, man, I'd love to see your opportunity when you got back. Maybe there's an investment, or maybe there's something you're looking for. And he said, man, I'd love to talk to you. So it's just those little pieces that enable you to grow.
I think that's great advice. There's no strangers. You never met a stranger, and it's networking.
It's networking,
right?
It's not,
because that stranger, that non-stranger that you just met for the first time, that could become your friend, could have an investment or a deal that's good for you, or he may know somebody who's looking for somebody.
Yeah, maybe.
That's networking.
Yes, yeah. I'll give you another example. So we'll go back probably 4 or 5 years ago. Me and my wife took a trip, and we go to Miami, staying at the one hotel, beautiful hotel. I recommend it.
Is this the one where you asked me what to do as far as Cuban food and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
That you did none of the stuff that I told you to do?
No, I did.
Okay.
Well, we went. Maybe I did. We went to La Trova. You told me about La Trova.
Yeah.
Cafe La Trova is fantastic.
With the little band singing.
Yep. No, it's fantastic. We should do this in Cafe La Trova.
We should do that.
That's
a
fun.
great idea.
All right. But we're sitting at the one hotel. We walk in after dinner, and it's packed. There's nowhere to sit down. But there's this couch, and it's got two. Me and her could sit. She may have to sit on half my leg, but we could sit down at this couch, and we sit down on the couch. And we start talking to the people around us, and end up meeting this guy named Mick. I ended up getting Mick's contact information. Mick was a nice guy, but he works for Goldman Sachs, and we had some business stuff we talked about, but it was not anything like, hey, whatever. But I walked in the house. This is recently, maybe 3 or 4 months ago. And I was on the phone, and I get off the phone. My wife said, who are you talking to? And I said, I was talking to Mick. She goes, Mick? See, Mick from Miami. And she said, you still keep up with that guy? And I said, yes, that's cultivating a relationship. When he comes into Dallas, he calls me, we go to dinner. It's just but I think that is the key to growing a good circle that presents opportunities.
Yeah, circle of influence. So if somebody's listening to this and going, I'm thinking about getting into the automotive business or any kind of business. They want to be in business, or they're going to get their first job. What is the advice that you would give these young people?
I think you have to have a mentor that wants to see you succeed.
So does that mean find a job or start a career somewhere where somebody's going to put you under their wing?
Someone that somewhere is going to give you that support, because you're going to run into things that you don't know what to do.
And passing the knowledge, right? Because a mentor passes the knowledge.
Right. Yeah. I think to me, that's the best advice I could give. Like if you're going into you could go sell cars anywhere, right? You could walk into a dealership tomorrow and find a job selling cars. Somebody's going to give you a job. But there are places and people in the automotive industry that when that salesperson walks in that door for a job, they want to make that person successful, because making that person successful gives them a little bit more success, which starts building the whole team. You'll walk into a lot of dealerships where the salesperson the first day, they don't tell them what to do. They don't give them any information. They don't give them no help, and it's a kind of a revolving door. But I think that goes in any business. Find the person that you're comfortable with that's going to help lift you up to succeed.
What should you run away from?
You should run away from the people that don't want you to succeed. There's always going to be that person that blames it on luck or says it's all luck. Some of it is, but it's the right opportunity, right time. but they always, or luck, it's always about what you got versus what they got. It's those people are not the people that you want to associate with. And if you're trying to build and grow.
I'm going to ask you two things. What is one thing that changed your life in a positive way? And then what is one thing that wasn't good that you learned a lot from?
There's one point that I can really think about that I think was a failure, is that we had we were I had this partner in the automotive business, and we were out buying stores, right? And we had grown from one store to 2 stores, and the 2 stores were fine, and we were managing those 2 stores, and he was doing a really good job. And then we got an opportunity to buy a 3rd and 4th store, and at the same time, this 5th store kind of popped in, and then quickly we got this opportunity for the 6th store. And I think we were having so much success in the 1 and 2 stores that we ran too quick, and I think that was the biggest failure point of mine. It cost us a lot of money in that.
Yeah, you tripled your rooftop.
Yeah, you tripled it overnight, and you didn't have the people. You didn't have the people that supported you. You didn't have the right processes in place, and it just kind of, I'm not going to say it imploded, because it didn't. We kept all the stores, and the stores are still operational today. But it caused an issue between me and what I considered, a friend in the business, and it was because we grew too fast. So I would say that sometimes you need to take a step back, and just because an opportunity presents itself doesn't mean you have to act on it. It's okay to say no.
So growing too fast is a problem.
It's a problem.
At least if you don't have the right people.
Now, if you created if you go create a product, right? And you know this in your business. If you go create a product, and tomorrow that product, you accept a big deal, and that product just blows up, and you can't provide the product in the time that you promised. It's a bad thing.
Bad deal.
Right? So it's got to be.
And you lose the momentum on it, and all this kind of stuff.
Yep.
Okay, so what's the one good thing? The one thing that changed Stephen Burns' life, other than meeting me?
Other than meeting you?
Yeah.
I don't know. So I'm going to go back to people. I'm going to go back to my mentor. And the one thing that could change my life completely, put me on a whole different path, is when that one person said, "You can do it."
Oh, that guy back.
No, not him.
Not that one. Okay.
Not him. I think he was a very pivotal point. I think that
not
was
him.
Yeah, but he pushed me into taking the job.
A position.
Because he knew that I could do it.
Right.
But when I got there was a person that was there that every time that I felt like I couldn't do something, he was right there to push me to say, "Yes, you can." And I think that's he pushed me. A supportive family too. My mom, dad, wife, kids, everybody was supportive. So I think that's a pivotal point, that every time you still call my dad and go, "Hey, what do you think about this?" He's still a positive guy.
Yeah. That's cool. Family's important.
Family's important.
And having the right people in your life that tell you you can do this, and push you and believe in you, sometimes more than you, for sure. And every time. Well, Stephen, thank you for being with us, man.
It's pretty easy.
Yeah, it's very easy. It's very easy.
Thank you for listening to Wheels, Deals, and Meals, your main source for all things good and fun, business, food, and cars. If you like this episode, make sure to rate us and subscribe. If you would like to be a guest on our show, please leave a message at the link below. Till next time, happy eating.